Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
Into a very special edition of Judd's Hockey Show. It's episode 2 of not just Judd's Hockey Show, but Judd's Hockey Show Road to the 2026 World Junior Championships, which we've been talking about for quite some time. Starts December 26th at Grand Casino Arena and also 3M at Mariucci. As always, I am joined by two of ardent hockey followers, ardent hockey fans, two of my best friends when it comes to our love of the game of hockey. That would be Jesse Pierce. Thank you very much. Jesse also does a great job covering the Wild for NHL.com, and you can also find her and her colleague Kirsten Call on the Bar Down Beauties, and then AJ Fredrickson. And because this is Road to the World Junior Hockey Championships, let's bring in our friend Dave Fischer, who is the Senior Director of Communications for USA Hockey, and is a guy who's been to many World Junior Hockey Championships, a very busy schedule, because Dave, not only doing the World Juniors work, but also then heading off to the Olympics to work with the U.S. men's team there. Welcome to the show, sir. We appreciate your time.
Oh, it's good to see all of you guys, and always fun to talk a little hockey, especially hearkening back to Minnesota holds a special place in my heart, having grown up part of my life there, as of course does the World Junior Hockey Championship.
You're from Hastings, is that correct?
I spent it until through kindergarten in Hastings, then we moved away. My dad worked for 3M and then back to the Twin Cities, Park Cottage Grove, my last couple of years of high school, and went to Minnesota Duluth for 5 years. And my wife's from Austin, Minnesota, so nice. We have that Minnesotan in us.
Yes, sure. Yes. So I'll start you off with this one. How many World Juniors is this going to be for you this season, 2026 tournament? And how far have you seen this tournament come in that time?
Yeah, well, my first one, Judd, was I got hired in November of 2004 after spending 17 great years at Michigan Tech in athletics. And that November, I started, and in about 4 weeks later, was in Grand Forks, in Thief River Falls, when we hosted the World Junior Hockey Championship there. And that was certainly was aware of it, but that was my first look at it up close and in person. And we had Scott Sandelin as our head coach. Phil Kessel was on our team. I remember that was a Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin World Juniors too. And you think to where those guys are at now in their careers. And but it was awesome. Obviously, we didn't win, but we had a good run. And to see how far it's come over the last 20 years now, and this one coming up the 50th anniversary, and how cool it is we get to host that in our country, and especially in the state of hockey. And I'm sure we'll talk about Murray Williamson later, but it's come a long way. And before I got here, in the early days of the World Juniors, college hockey coaches in our country would not let their players go at the inside, and that seems zany today. You're like, what? And obviously, if coaches wouldn't let their players go today, the players wouldn't be going to that university because of the significance of it. But it's it's so much fun because it's all kids you're going to see that are going to play in not all, but a lot of kids you'll see in the NHL in the very near future. Many are already in college, of course, from across the world. But it's the high skill level, and again, it's a lot of high risk hockey, which makes it fun for fans. So it's racehorse hockey back and forth with so much skill and talent, turnovers that lead to breakaways and big collisions and skilled play. So, I mean, it is really, next to the Olympics and Paralympics, it is the most anticipated hockey tournament on the calendar every single year.
I have to say, I used to be, as a college hockey fan, because the Wild weren't a thing when I was coming up in my very formative hockey years. I used to hate the World Juniors because they would take the best Gopher players. And I was like, no, I want to watch my Gophers do well year round. And now they're going to go play in this weird international. Of course, now I am obsessed with the World Juniors, having watched and experienced it as I got older into my adulthood fandom of the sport. But I definitely was on that page, Fish. I was very little nervous about taking mostly just the Gophers. That's all I cared about. The rest of the guys, sure, you can't take my Gophers.
But that's right, Justin. Now the top programs where most of the players come from, they schedule so that they don't play games during that World Junior window. They've gotten pretty savvy around that. So your worry of yesteryear kind of is mostly gone, not entirely.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's almost gone from like almost a blemish for some schools, and like, oh, we lost, like Jess was saying, you're losing 2, 3, 4 guys, and in some cases, like now with the Gophers, it's like you're losing your coach. Back when he was with St. Cloud, Bob Motzko left and took a Sean with him for the tournament. But now it's like it's a medal of honor for a lot of these programs where it's like we're producing 3, 4 guys that are going, our coach is stepping away behind the bench and now leading Team USA. And I think, Dave, that's kind of just shown how much this tournament has maybe expanded and gone from, you know, maybe a minor thing to now this is the center stage of the hockey world every time we get to kind of the turn of the calendar.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And the, you know, I have to give our friends in Canada and TSN in particular a lot of credit for the visibility that the tournament and the progression of it, that has helped. Visibility through the media helps. That's helped our churn. And in the case of hockey here in the U.S., NHL Network has been televising this now for many, many years, coming up close to 20. That matters. And again, when I told you about I started in Grand Forks, we were conducting the main venue was a college rink still back then. It's evolved now to the point where the main venue needs to be an NHL venue because of the significance of the interest in it. And those are great things. That's just part of the churn of hockey in our country. I mean, you guys all know this. I mean, back when I started, it was the 3 M's: Minnesota, Massachusetts, and Michigan. And today, hockey is played in all 50 states in our country. And I don't know if you would have told me that when I was a young kid, I would have ever believed you, honestly.
Is there a World Juniors tournament in particular that you feel launched it, where it went from, to your point, a small, you know, it was played in college buildings and it was popular with a cult, right? But is there 1 or 2 years where you sensed a seismic shift in how big it became?
Ooh, that's a great question, Judd. And I don't know if I could put my finger on it. I think anytime, at least in the case from a United States perspective, you win. That matters. You win gold, and the interest level naturally goes up in any tournament we're in. And you know, of course, the first time we won gold, Zach Parise from Minnesota, of course, was the MVP and led our team to gold back in 2004. And you know, that kind of started it. I think that you know, the success since 2004 has been really remarkable. We've medaled in 8 of the last 10 World Juniors, the best stretch in our country's history. We won, of course, the last 2, as you guys know. And I think the first 31 years of the World Juniors, we won exactly three medals, 2 bronze and a silver. And since that time, I think we won 13 medals. So success helps. The infrastructure of our sport has helped. You know, the evolution of the National Team Development Program and starting that in '96, that helped junior hockey as a whole be better, I think. And just the continued churn, expansion of the NHL has contributed to that. Obviously, the continued expansion of our sport relative to the girls and women's side now on the PWHL, that the whole churn of hockey as a whole has helped the World Juniors because there's more fans of the sport. And fans of the sport, no matter what level, they like to see winners, they like to see talent, and that's what you have in the World Juniors.
Well, especially you mentioned the talent here in Minnesota. There's so much talent to watch, not only directly related to the state, but you had, you know, your Matt Boldies were World Junior players. Brock Fabers are World Juniors. You have so much U.S. talent that it's really exciting. Just really try to reiterate that to our audience, like the type of players that they are going to be witnessing are future NHL superstars in not only the U.S.'s case, but in Canada's and Sweden's and Finland, like you mentioned, Ovechkin, Crosby. Talk a little bit about that, if you will, Fish.
Yeah, I mean, you harken back to just last year when we won gold, and we had Austin Bernovic and Logan Hensler and Adam Kleber, Oliver Moore, Danny Nelson, Max Plant. I mean, I think we had 9 Minnesotans, Hampton Sikorsky, Brody Zemer on that gold medal team. So for those of you out there listening in Minnesota, there's going to be a big Minnesota influence on this team, as there is, that's across our international teams. Obviously, the impact that the state of hockey has on our sport overall, including at the international level, is as great as it is in any state in our country. It's our most populous state. And it's fun to see it continue to grow. At the end of the day, I mean, we had our biggest growth at 8U in Minnesota, where the sport's the most populous. So those are all great signs, and the contributions that people have made, and a lot of the infrastructure and ideas of our sport historically have come from Minnesota, and makes us smile. The community-based programs in Minnesota, everybody can't emulate those across the country. We wish everybody could, and everybody wishes they could. It's just not reality. But nonetheless, Minnesota's impact is outsized, significant, and appreciated for sure.
A little bit hard to get those outdoor rinks going in California and Florida and Arizona, though they've got the roller hockey thing going for them, which we love too.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly right.
Go ahead.
Can you talk about maybe how the you mentioned like the impact of Minnesota, just not even on the roster, but now the community as it's being hosted here this year, you're expecting similar, if not more than what you see for the high school tournament, filling Grant Casino Arena in past years, where it's for high school kids, it's a packed house on a Saturday night, and it's 19,000 people screaming their heads off, watching kids they've never met. And, maybe they follow them from section playoffs into the state tournament. But now it's like for hockey fans that are maybe more casual, Four Nations face-off last year, you get that taste of international hockey. But this is, in my opinion, it's a step up because it's a yearly thing. It's more of an established tournament, and you're having guys that are playing their tails off because this is like a showcase for them, potentially for guys who aren't team associated. It's a showcase for the draft coming up in a couple months, or guys who are trying to show their fan bases for the teams that have been drafted to, like, hey, I'm the prospect that you're promised. I want to display it on an international stage. You're going to get that packed kind of Minnesota crowd at Grant Casino Arena, at Mariucci. Can you talk about just what that's going to mean maybe, and what you can expect for Team USA to play in front of that hometown crowd?
Oh gosh, it's something that we all look forward to. Yeah. At the end of the day, we get tired of being the enemy all the time while we go to these tournaments. So it's so infrequent we get to host these things, and it's awesome when we do. A couple of years ago in the World Juniors, we were in the gold medal game against Sweden in Sweden. And do you think we had many fans? We had a handful. We had a pocket up there, but it's going to be such a blessing and so refreshing to hear the USA chants, see the red, white, and blue, see the flags waving. And that's fun, too. I mean, that's fun for fans in our country. Again, they don't get the opportunity to have a tournament this level on home soil. We just don't have it much. And then when it is on home soil, it's a great big country, and only one community gets to host it. In this case, St. Paul and Minneapolis. So fans are going to enjoy it. And I always say, obviously, rooting for your team, your nation, country trumps everything, so to speak. It's the same thing at the Olympics and Paralympics we have coming up. People are rooting for our country, no matter what the sport is. And so we're going to welcome in people from around the world, be Minnesota nice, Minnesota hospitable, but we're going to root as hard as we can for our team, and we don't really care if your team wins at the end of the day.
So what is it like to, because to your point, for some context, the tournament was last played here in 1982, and it was played at, I think, throughout the state at the time. So it was definitely not the same tournament that we see now. But Fish, tell us what it's like as from a fan standpoint too. With I'm sure Canadian fans will flow freely, beer included here. Fans from Sweden, Finland. So what's it like as just a gathering, a melting pot type of tournament where you get not just hockey fans, but so many different cultures coming together who are passionate about the game of hockey?
Yeah, Judd, that's one of the great fun things about hosting these international events for fans in our country. And you mentioned 82, by the way, when that was the first World Juniors we ever hosted in this country. And I was just looking back on that last week, and there were games played in that tournament in Duluth, Brainerd, Grand Rapids, New Ulm, Virginia, International Falls, Bloomington, St. Cloud, Minneapolis, Mankato, Rochester, and Burnsville.
Well, and Birdsville, but think about the buildings, Fish. Think about the buildings, like Birdsville. It was played in the building there. I will say this. I'm old enough that I went to a couple of games at the Met.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I love the Met Center. I've been there many times too. One of my favorite rings.
Still miss it to this day, but that's
I know. I'm with you.
That's a separate podcast, Judd.
Yeah,
You need a whole
exactly.
other podcast for that.
Exactly right.
But that again, that's an indication of how far this tournament has come as well. I mean, you have 2 arenas, 10 teams, 29 games, I think it is total. But you're not moving all over the place. I can't imagine the teams too and what they were doing. But relative to your question about the pomp and circumstance and around it, and getting a chance to meet people from other nations and learning about their cultures, it's one of the great things. And communities that when we have hosted these, they've absorbed that through education in the schools too, where classes have taken different countries, and they've made posters to welcome those teams that we put up in and along locker rooms, and teachers have used that as a backdrop to learn about Italy, to learn about Norway, to learn about Canada, whatever. I mean, so all those things about these international tournaments, obviously we love the competition on the ice and having the chance to watch the great athletes that play and the excitement of watching your country win, and the unique thing about the national anthem of the winning country being played after the game. That's just different from what we're used to in the collegiate and professional sports in this world. Those things are all great. And the banging on the drums and the hooting and hollering and of international fans that we don't really see much here in North America in terms of the fandom in sports. It's different in Europe. It just is, and different in a fun way. So to get the chance to experience some of that here at home, and meet new people. And I've heard many stories over the years of our American fans when we've hosted these, connecting with people from around the world and remain friends with them today and go visit them in their country. So sports brings us together, no matter if it's in this country or across the world. And that's a wonderful thing about it.
Well, here in Minnesota and across USA Hockey, we were so fortunate to have a legend like Murray Williamson, who you had mentioned earlier. Just discuss, if you will, Fish, how instrumental he was to the World Juniors itself and to hockey, who, again, we lost earlier this week at 91 years old. Minnesotans will remember him as an All-American at the University of Minnesota, but he's done so much for the game of hockey in his lifetime.
Yeah. Gosh, just so sad. Just really been a somber week in that regard, honestly, here at USA Hockey headquarters, because certainly Murray was very, very well known in Minnesota. And as you mentioned, Jess, a great career at the University of Minnesota, but he was way, way, way beyond that. One of the true legends of our sport. And his influence was felt across our country and really across the world. And you mentioned the World Juniors, back in the Midwest Junior Hockey League, which is kind of would be today's version of the United States Hockey League, or only Tier 1 junior league in this country. Murray helped get that going back in 1973. And his vision was like, we need something for these kids to aspire to and to test their talents against the best across the world. And we had this vision of, let's do an international tournament, i.e. what we know today as the World Junior Hockey Championship. And it was his idea to get this started. And, there were 3 unofficial versions of it. The first one was in Leningrad, which we now know as St. Petersburg, back in, I think, 1973. And then in 74 it was in Winnipeg, and then in Finland in 75 or 76. Maybe it was 73, 4-5 or 4-5-6. I don't remember. But then the IHF took over in 77. But to think, and that's the really somber part, and I know his son's daughter's wedding is coming up here in October. He really wanted to make it to that. And we would have really loved, and we will celebrate him, of course, but we would have loved to have him in person with us to celebrate this 50th anniversary of a tournament that he imagined. And I talking to him this summer, I know he didn't imagine it would ever get to be to this level. Yeah. It puts a smile across his face and his family's face, and that certainly puts a a smile across our face here at USA Hockey too, and so thankful. And by the way, he coached a couple of our Olympic teams, including a team that won an improbable silver medal in '72. Nobody thought we'd medal in that.
People
tournament.
forget about that one.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The book I have, and I believe he signed it for me and gave it to me once upon a time in passing. It's called The Forgotten Silver or something like
Forgotten
that,
Miracle.
right? Forgotten Miracle. Yep. So great book. Highly recommend everybody pick it up and celebrate. Yeah, because that was an improbable silver medal for USA at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. Some guy you might have heard of that's still living in Eveleth. Any idea? One of the great players on that team.
Masich.
John
Masich?
Yeah,
Yeah,
John Masich.
Masich.
And John says his favorite or his biggest accomplishment in hockey was in that 50. It was, let's see, it wouldn't have been 72. It would have been the Olympics in 56.
Yeah, the 56 team.
Yeah, that also
Mariucci's team.
Yeah, and he scored 3 goals in a 4-1 win over Canada. We were just talking about that. Matter of fact, John may be trying to come to the Olympics, which would be great because he's 92.
Yeah.
Well,
He still has his own bar stool at the Eveleth bar up there. It has his name on the back of it and everything. So when you said Eveleth, I was like, it's got to be Masich. I just know him because the bar stool's there too. So we love that.
Yeah.
I think that 72 team, if I'm not mistaken, Gordie Howe's son Mark, who was a really good pro, was on that team, if I'm correct.
I think you're right on that, Judd. Yep.
Yep. Adrian?
Yeah. Fish, you mentioned like it's the 50th anniversary of the World Juniors. And I mean, it's grown into this like fantastic tournament, but at the same time, it's always something where you're looking to still continue to grow and make it bigger and better. First off, what does it mean for the U.S. to, essentially win the bid and get chosen to host the 50th, such a monumental tournament? And also, do you know of, or is there anything maybe special planned in place for the 50th anniversary of such a big tournament like this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would tell you first and foremost, we're thrilled to always be able to get to host any World Championship, certainly including one as significant as the World Juniors. And it was a very difficult process to get to the end to select a host. We had many interested communities and partners wanting to host, and again, a smile came across my face when we made the final decision to come to Minnesota. Obviously, having some roots in Minnesota, and it just seemed right, and the excitement from all the people involved, from certainly the crew, Wendy Blackshaw and team at Minnesota Sports and Events, who's kind of led the thing, to all the people, Jamie Hendrickson from Visit St. Paul and Melvin Pennon from Meet Minneapolis, our partners at the University of Minnesota, Tom McGinnis and crew, and at the Wild and Grand Casino Arena, from Craig Leopold right on down, Matt Maka, Kelly McGrath, who's so awesome at the rink, and Wayne Peterson, and our friends at Minnesota Hockey. Everybody was just in the legislature. People, obviously, we have Karen Housley as our co-chair with Lou Nanny and Melvin Carter, and everybody was just so pumped. So it seems just right to do this there, and I think that matters. And again, especially the seminal 50th anniversary of the tournament and what is planned for fans. Obviously, we know about the games and talent they'll see on the ice, but some of the ancillary things that are going to happen through Fan Fest, both indoors and outdoors, and the celebration of the tournament, the sport, Minnesota as a whole. Fans are going to really enjoy it, and certainly through the course of games inside the venues, we will have moments to celebrate various moments of 50 years of the World Juniors, and we're working through some of that with our friends at the International Ice Hockey Federation, who oversee and provide governance for this tournament, and all the partners that are engaged in this in the Twin Cities. So it's going to be special, and I think fans are going to enjoy all elements of it at the end of the day.
Do I recall correctly that I saw that among the cities bidding on this tournament, in addition to us, Las Vegas was one?
There were a whole host of interested parties, we did talk to Las Vegas for sure. Yes. I'm trying to think of them all now.
Just can't see them getting it. Sorry, Fish. Just can't see it. Not over Minnesota. Now, St. Louis, I think, was one, but it's become a hockey hotbed.
St. Louis, and that that was as tough of a group to say no to. They all were, because and people probably have no idea of the time and investment in time and resources that communities put into just putting a bid forward. It takes a lot of time and effort. So, and it's fun. I mean, great. Isn't it great that you even said that, though? Who would have thought when we were younger that Las Vegas? What?
You know what, though? Trace it back. It all, in my opinion, traces back to Gretzky being traded to the Kings.
Yep.
That opened the door. Like until then, they had hockey in Los Angeles, but we didn't think much of it, right? And you look at what was that, if I'm not mistaken, August of '89. If you look at the growth of hockey in this country, I mean, I am still very bitter that the North Stars left, but now Dallas had a team. Now Florida has 2 teams, and by the way, they're both good. I like the evolution of this game in the past 40 years. It's nuts.
5 years in a row, right?
It's absolutely nuts. And the amount of kids now from St. Louis, from Florida, from California that are playing the sport. Arizona, Austin Matthews, Arizona kid. Who would have thought that? So, no, it's great for the sport that happened and how it's grown now.
Gretzky, for sure, a huge moment. You look at the seminal moments in our lifetime. Obviously, 1980 still sits there, and it's really exciting too. And you guys probably heard this. We're on the last step, the president's signature before the bill to award the 1980 team the Congressional Gold Medal gets signed into law, and that's been an exciting journey. And we in hockey think, well, that hasn't happened before. Well, just the truth be told, there are almost hardly any sports figures or teams that get the Congressional Gold Medal. It's typically military based. So great accomplishment. That's cool. So 80, of course, the 96 World Cup made a big difference in terms of visibility. Those seminal moments certainly are 98 women, 2018 women. This last 4 nations we mentioned on the Paralympic side, we won the last 4 gold medals and then won the first one in 2002. Those things all matter. And the expansion of the NHL. I mean, you lost the North Stars to Dallas. Look at what's happened in Texas and all the rinks and all the hockey that's in Dallas because of that. I mean, so it's fun. It's kind of fun, right? I mean, again, it's been a big thing in Minnesota for a long time, but it's fun to have others join the party.
All right, my final question, my biggest question for you, Fish. I want a little peek behind the curtain. So I was out at USA Hockey in 2010, as we discussed. We don't need to do the math on how long ago that was. But that year, Great World Juniors, a gold medal win, in fact, right? And Jason Zucker was on the team, Chris Kreider. That, and social media in 2010 isn't what it is now, right? I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that was the first time that we heard the gold winning song, the "Oh Mama, Don't You Cry." Was that intentional? And as a PR representative, were you a little like, oh no, because there's some cursing in it toward the end. And I could just imagine that it was kind of like, oh, this is aggressive. What do you think of that song? How did that originate? Was that going on before social media was abundant? Because now we see it celebrated, right? Now you guys have embraced that as kind of the fun aspect. But I remember seeing that for the first time and being like, this is great. I am hyped. I'm going to run through a wall. Not only did they win gold, but these boys are so fired up. And that tradition's continued after the gold medal win the past 2 years too.
Gosh, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to give you a 100% accurate answer. I think, if I'm right, the origination of that, came from our national team development program, which we started in 1996, high performance program for the best 16 and 17-year-old male players in our country. And that, again, you talk about seminal moments that have influenced things in our country. That was started for 2 reasons. We weren't having any success. There was no under 18 men's worlds, but we weren't having much success in the World Juniors and up this ladder on the men's side. And we wanted to help provide an environment for more American kids to get to the NHL, and mega success. And I don't know, I remember when that started, as I was at Michigan Tech at the time, and ho, baby, you talk about a lightning rod for criticism. And including from Minnesota. I think obviously the proof is in the pudding there, but I think that those kids got something like that going, in that because many of those kids that are on the national junior team will have played at the national team development program, and I think that's how it started. But you're right, that's a staple of our teams. it's fun to see the joy and celebration of it. And the kids, they're pretty good at changing the words to the right coach. They got that down.
Yep.
It is. It has. I did cringe a little bit, going, ooh.
We gotta bleep a little bit of this out.
But you know what? People get mad if we put it out in a bleep version. And people go, why don't you just put it out? It's fine.
It's so good. Again, it's the excitement. If you guys haven't seen it, I urge you to Google just World Juniors Gold Medal Team USA, because it's a great song. And it's just, you can see, it's a good reminder that they are just kids and they're just so amped up, right? Like everything about it it's perfect. I think it suits what they've accomplished and their futures and everything. I love it every single year. Again, they win the gold too on top of it all. That's the cherry.
Now we've gotten into, you guys, I don't remember when this started, the goal songs at these world championships, when teams score a goal, US scores a goal, a song plays, and the federations get to pick the song. So Freebird, Leonard Skinner, has taken off, and that was a kid from our World Junior team, Jacob Fowler, suggesting to our group, was it this year or 2 years ago? It's all running together here recently, but he was on one of our junior teams in recent memory. That next group of kids, that next year, the younger group, that would be the senior group, that this year, he suggested it to them, and I take the input of the team, and the kids, let's go with Freebird, and I'm like, I'm listening to it in my head, and I'm like, where's the riff that really gets the jam?
Yeah.
Sure as heck, I got like 20 seconds later, play it from 4 minutes and 26 seconds on, and so that just took off. And then the Four Nations face-off, of course, we used it again, and then we heard from the band, Leonard Skinner, and there was some movement to have them actually in Boston at the championship game.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, and it never worked out in the end, but that's kind of now become the goal song for all of our teams. And it's funny how those things just go and take off. And you mentioned social media, Jess. That's where they all fly off into the momentum that has triggered us to today. So it's kind of fun. Along with Oh Mama, that'll never go away, I don't think.
It's so good.
That's awesome. Age, got one more?
Fish, last one I got for you here is related to the tournament still, but do you have like a personal favorite World Junior moment that either you remember watching just as a fan of the sport, or something that maybe you had your hands on that is in relation to USA Hockey throughout the years that you've been associated with USA Hockey? Because I know, just as a fan, for me, the outdoor game, the win, almost like blizzard type of weather, like on TV, they're changing cameras, they're wiping stuff off, but it's USA Hockey with the different look and kind of the old timey jerseys, but coming through in front of a giant crowd at a football field. And then you have, I think it was maybe I might get the year wrong, but 2018, I want to say, that was the outdoor game. Yes, but there was also the post gold medal win there. It's the shot on TV of the guys behind, and you can see they're singing the national anthem. You kind of get that on ice mic of these kids, college kids, belting out the Star Spangled Banner. It's just kind of like goal realized. But do you have a personal one of those from your point of view? Oh gosh, that one that you mentioned. I mean, the cool thing is, when you're event planners or whatever, and we're hosting things, you'd like to be first in doing things. Mm-hmm. And we know Canada likes to be first too. And so we really like the fact that we were the first, and still only to this day, to do an outdoor game in the World Juniors. And Jim Johansson, another great Minnesota name, oversaw international hockey. God rest his soul at that time. And matter of fact, that wasn't too long before he passed away, unfortunately. But you guys would not believe the anxiety that caused us, and I can imagine
through the ice conditions. And we practiced first 2-3 days before the game, and then Canada was going to practice the next day, and then the game. And if Canada would have practiced the day we practiced, they would have said, "There's no way we can play this game." And obviously, the safety of the players is the number one priority always in everything we do at all levels of the game. And JJ's like, "Fish, we got a long way to go before we can play on this, and we should just talk about this." So we went through it, and credit to the ice crew. They worked night and day, and they got it in shape. And that was one of the absolute best memories, and just the environment. And I remember, there's a player of the game always at the end of the game. And I remember Gavin Reagan, who was one of our top volunteers in international hockey that time. He was the vice president of junior hockey for USA Hockey, or the international hockey, excuse me, for USA Hockey. But he suggested the ice crew be the player of the game. I'm like, what great idea. And the crowd went nuts when we honored them, and it was an appropriate thing to do. And again, coming back from being down and beating Canada, and and you think of the guys that were on that team now, Brady Tkachuk among them now, but that was great. You know, that was Bob Mosko. He coached that team, and then he coached the team in 2017, and another great memory in Montreal, and we beat Troy Terry, the shootout hero, in a magnificent game against Russia in the semifinals, and then we beat Canada in a shootout and shootout in the gold medal game in Canada. So that was great. These last two have been amazing. I'll never forget the up ice pass this last year with Zeeb Boyum to Teddy Stiga, and the year before winning on enemy territory in Sweden we talked about. And just mentioned a great moment. That was fun too, with John Carlson scoring in overtime. And those were two great U.S.-Canada games that year. We lost the first one. We were ahead in the New Year's Eve game, 2010, up in Saskatoon. I'll never forget the big 50-50 jackpot they had too.
You buying some tickets for
the
that?
jackpot like
I
that.
didn't win.
Yeah.
But you tried.
I tried, but so that'll be fun to look forward to too. I think we're gonna have a 50-50 jackpot.
Oh, nice. Your schedule. So let's talk about you for just a second here. So December 26th, Boxing Day, you start with the tournament starting here, and then what is a guy's schedule who then has to turn around and do a lot of the same work for the Olympic team, which will take up a good chunk of February?
Well, Judd, let's back it up, and we're extremely excited to have the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame induction celebration in the Twin Cities in St. Paul at the River Center on December 10th, and a great class going in. Obviously, Minnesota, as we talked about Zach Parise earlier, he's a member of the class, along with Scott Gomez and Joe Pavelski, probably some familiar names, played in the NHL. Tara Mounsey played on a 98 gold medal team, first ever gold medal. I don't like to throw the term trailblazer out easily, but she certainly fits that. She was a trailblazer in the sport back then. And Bruce Bennett, who probably a lot of people don't know, but one of the greatest visual storytellers, if not the greatest, through the game. He's been the lens through which the photographer that we've all witnessed for the last 50 plus years in the NHL, the Olympics, and beyond. So that's a class. And of course, maybe you saw just today the NHL announced the Lester Patrick Trophy recipient, which is also presented there. St. Paul's Ray Shero, who passed away here just in the last year or two. So we'll honor him posthumously. So that kind of will start the journey on getting to the Twin Cities on the 8th. And the 10th, we'll have the induction celebration. The class will be honored at the Wild Game on the 11th. And again, people that are watching that want to come out and celebrate the icons of our game, ushockeyhalloffame.com is where you can get tickets for the induction celebration at the River Center. So I'll essentially get there, and then I'll be staying. We
Like literally, like do you have
not leaving?
Yeah, like are you
not leaving.
here?
You're stuck with me. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
going over. Our team is all coming in on the 14th, and we're going to gather that night at the Intercontinental in St. Paul, and then bus up to Duluth on the 15th for our pre-camp, and then come back down to the Twin Cities about a week or so later, and on we go till January 5th, 6th? 5th, the gold medal game.
Yep.
And then we're in the midst of all that, going to announce our men's, women's, and Paralympic sled Olympic and Paralympic teams somewhere in that deal. And then on the 8th of January, I'll head to Milan for a month to support our men's and women's teams in Milan, and the list goes on. There's many other things along with that, but obviously those are significant and impactful and fun too.
Absolutely. The last thing for me, as far as the tournament goes, and folks who want to attend games, it's worldjuniorsmn26.com. But Fish, just talk to us about the vibe in the building. Like for those who might watch this, but they don't get a chance to go, and they do because they live here this time. Just talk to us about the vibe, what you get from being able to witness this tournament in person.
Yeah, you have to experience it, and you'll want to experience it. It's tough. It's tough to describe because it is a bit different. I mean, our fans will bring the American flair, and they'll bring the flags and the big flags and the small flags, and they'll bring the USA chants. But I would guess, some of the international flair, and I encourage our fans to bring drums and bang on them. You can't really do that in North America. Really, they don't really allow that, but you can do that in this stuff and have fun with it. But you'll enjoy the variations. I will say, I mentioned the national anthem of the winning team at the end. We're not used to that. That's cool, and the flag raises up from the end. As the teams are lined up on the blue line. You just don't get a chance to see that level of talent at this age group. You won't get a chance to see that. And we talked about the people you meet, and again, they probably aren't just walking up to you. Some of them probably will actually, but seek it out. Enjoy the pomp and circumstance that comes with international hockey, and there'll be surprises at games and guests and fun people. I'm not going to spoil all the surprises.
Yeah, no, we don't want you to. We don't want you to.
I know we're going to have more at the Mall of America November 6th. It's 50 days out. So there's going to be, keep an eye out for that, the event at the Mall of America. And they're going to talk more about some of the fun ancillary things outside the rink and maybe inside that fans will get a chance to experience. And I would take the opportunity. I know you mentioned one website, 2026.worldjunior.hockey is another one. That's kind of the IHF home where you can kind of keep up with all the teams from around the world. The link is there to get tickets. And I wouldn't wait. I know people have kind of been waiting. We're now getting into the fall and starting to get into the traditional sports season. People are busy, not thinking about this in the summer, which I get. But I'd encourage people to go out and get tickets now and have them locked in, and find people in the neighborhood. If you don't want all of them, you can't go to all of them. That's understandable, but sure. Get the neighborhood crew going together and have fun with it. I mean, that's the one thing too. And I know Minnesotans and people in surrounding states in our country, there are people from all over the U.S. that'll be coming to this. But to our friends in Minnesota and Hudson, where I was born, right over the border there. Yeah. Let's have fun with this together. And I have no doubt that it's going to be a welcoming environment for teams and fans from around the world. But let's have fun at home and support our team and cheer them on to what's hopefully a third straight gold medal.
Awesome stuff, Fish. Thank you. For Dave, for Jesse Pierce, for AJ, I'm Judd. Appreciate you watching this episode of Judd's Hockey Show, Road to the 2026 World Junior Championship.